Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Kerry Grady Vincent, and I'm the Senior Manager of Scientific and Clinical Programs here at Osteoporosis Canada. I will be your moderator for today's webinar, The Importance of Protein, in partnership with Danone Canada and Oikos Greek Yogurt. Before we begin, Osteoporosis Canada acknowledges the land that our offices, located in Toronto, are on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. At Osteoporosis Canada, we educate Canadians about bone health, including healthcare professionals and their clients. We are the only national organization serving people who have or are at risk for osteoporosis. We are very excited about today's presentation, which will provide general information about the significance of protein in bone and muscle health, how animal and plant proteins differ, the vital role of amino acids, and how to easily integrate protein into a balanced eating pattern. It is not intended to provide individualized health advice. If you do have questions on osteoporosis and your nutritional needs, please consult your healthcare provider. If you do have questions during the webinar, please remember to click the question and answer button on your screen to submit your questions, and we will try to get to as many as we can in the time permitting. Before we begin, make sure you have your speakers turned up fully so that you can hear the presentation clearly. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our speaker, registered dietitian Lucia Weiler. Lucia is an award-winning dietitian, food scientist, and nutrition counselor. She is an international communications leader who specializes in education, nutrition counseling, food innovation, and food labeling. Lucia is an expert at translating the science of nutrition and working with clients to help them unlock the power of food and nutrition and its connection to good health. She is recognized for her leadership roles in dietetics and provides professional development to individuals and teams. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming Lucia. Lucia, take it away.
Thank you, Kerry. Hi, everyone. It's wonderful to be here. I'm going to start sharing my screen so you can see our presentation. So thank you for the introduction, Kerry, and a warm welcome to everyone joining. I'm so glad to be here with you today. Our webinar explores the importance of protein for your optimum health. We will define the term protein and discover its significant role in bone and muscle health. Then we'll discuss amino acids and their vital role, and also identify and compare animal and plant-based proteins and unravel the unique qualities of these nutritional powerhouses. Last but not least, we will apply the science of protein to real-life advice, such as meal planning, food choices, and addressing your specific health goals. So are you ready to get started? Let's begin. So in our first section, we'll uncover the definition of protein and its crucial role in health. Protein helps build and repair body tissues, helps build antibodies and strong muscles. So to get warmed up, we've got a little pop quiz for you. Which of the following do you think is not a function of proteins? So quick answers. Your options are building muscle, storing energy, synthesizing energy, repairing tissue. Or sorry, that should be synthesizing enzymes. So building enzymes. number C would be synthesizing enzymes. So we're waiting for the vote. We may be able to share the results when you're ready. All right, so the popular answer is storing energy. About half of the respondents. Thank you for that. And the answer is protein is not meant for storing energy. So the three major nutrients in food are protein, carbohydrates, and fat. They are referred to as macronutrients, and they support all our body functions. Protein's primary role is building muscles, making enzymes, and repairing body tissues. Protein is found everywhere, from muscles to organ tissues, bone, skin, and hair. Carbohydrates, on the other hand, are the body's preferred form of energy, and carbs come in three forms: sugars, starch, and fiber. Fats are also needed and are the most energy dense of the three macronutrients. Fats come mostly in two categories: saturated and unsaturated fats. So onward to protein basics. And the protein can be summarized as the nutrient crucial for growth, repair, and is found in every body cell. Proteins are made up of amino acids, which are the raw materials needed to build proteins. So the human body uses about 20 amino acids to build thousands of unique proteins it needs. Picture each amino acid as a bead on a necklace, like shown on the top right image. The primary protein structure is a simple chain of amino acids. Then the protein chains are connected and folded over each other and become larger and more complex protein molecules. Our body can make 11 out of the amino acids needed to build proteins, but it cannot make the other 9. So these 9 amino acids must come from food, and that is why we call them essential amino acids. Each of the 20 amino acids the body needs is unique, and they are not interchangeable. If one is missing, certain proteins cannot be built. So let's discover more about protein and its significant role in bone and muscle health. So we have another pop quiz. What do you think? Are Canadians getting enough protein? Yes, no, maybe, and I don't know. And if you're not sure, that's okay. We'll discover the answers. So please share with us your vote. And as you're voting, you can see the protein picture from our Canada's Food Guide depicting all the wonderful protein, nutrient-rich foods that we're trying to get enough of. Okay, so you voted. 62% says no. 10% say yes. 17 says maybe, and 11 don't know. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. So let's look at the answer, and it's maybe. The answer is maybe Canadians are getting enough protein. This is interesting research on the protein consumption in Canadian habitual diets found that most Canadian adults were meeting their daily recommendation intakes for protein. However, older adults and females were more prone to fall short and may not be getting enough protein. So as the bar graph, you can see that more women, represented by the orange bar, are below protein intake recommendation when compared to men. As women get older, let's say 70 plus years, as shown on the bottom bar, almost 10% are below the recommended daily protein intake. Over 5% of women aged between 51 and 70 years are eating protein below the recommendations. So, translating the research to advice that you can use, this means that special attention is warranted to older adults and females who are more prone to fall short of protein requirements and may not be getting enough protein. So, how much protein do you need in a day? Recommendations for protein intake come from the National Academy of Medicine as the dietary reference intakes, and you may have seen these as DRIs. They express average daily protein recommendation for the general healthy population in two ways. One, shown in the dark blue box, is the recommended dietary allowance, or RDA. For most adults, this is 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day. It's important to note that the RDA for protein is a minimum, not necessarily an optimum recommendation. There are some groups that have different protein needs, such as pregnant and breastfeeding women, some athletes, older adults, and people with certain health conditions. Talk to a dietitian about the amount of protein that is right for you. The other recommendation is the acceptable nutrient distribution range, or AMDR. This is a range of intake for energy source from protein expressed as a percentage of total energy, which would be calories. So the range is associated with reduced risk of chronic disease while providing adequate intakes of essential nutrients. And for protein, the acceptable macronutrient distribution range is 10 to 35%. So you may be wondering what it means to have 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight in a day. So here are a couple of examples. An adult weighing 80 kilograms, which is the same as 176 pounds, would need about 64 grams of protein per day. Someone weighing 65 kilograms, which is about 143 pounds, needs 52 grams of protein per day. You can find out how much daily protein you need by calculating it for yourself in two steps. Steps one, you find your body weight in kilograms, and you can get this by dividing pounds by 2.2 to get the conversion. And step two, you multiply the kilogram body weight by 0.8, and that will estimate your daily protein needs in grams. So after you calculated how much protein you need, the next step is to find out how much protein you're actually eating. Then you can compare the two amounts, what you eat and what you need, to see if you're meeting your recommended daily intake. A simple way to keep track of what you eat is to start a food record, just for a couple of days. Write down what you ate and how much. You can look up the amount of protein in the foods you ate using a credible food list or an app. If you ate a packaged food, the amount of protein can be found on the food label. In this example, the label shows that 1 cup of the food contained 2 grams of protein. If you had 2 cups of this food, doubling the serving size on the label, be sure to double the protein as well, which would be 4 grams. So to help you find out how much protein is in different foods that you eat, you can use a credible food list like this. This table shows the food type and the amount per serving of some common foods in the first column and the average protein content in the second column. Dietitians recommend that you aim for at least 20, maybe 30 grams of protein at every meal, including breakfast and lunch. From the chart, you can estimate what 20 to 30 grams of protein could be for your meals. What protein-rich foods and drinks might you choose to add up to 25 to 30 grams of protein in each of your meals? The QR code is on the slide will take you to the HealthLink BC reference that lists many more foods and the approximate amount of protein in each. According to this research, most people distribute their protein intake throughout the day like this. Nearly 3 and 4, 74% say they try to eat protein with dinner, followed by 56% who said the same about lunch, and 49% about breakfast. So protein doesn't seem to be a priority for most people when eating snacks, coming in at 19%. So in summary, most people eat a little protein at breakfast, more for lunch, and they leave most of the protein for dinner time. Did you know that scientists discovered that this may not be the best way to maximize protein's potential for your body? There is an opportunity to even out the protein intake by boosting breakfast and snack time. Let's take a closer look. Get ready for something eye-opening with this research that shows how to boost the benefit of protein by a more even distribution throughout the day. Take a look at the first graph. On the left, it shows the common daily protein distribution. It's only 10 grams at breakfast, 15 grams at lunch. Protein intake in the Western diet is typically skewed towards the main meal. The evening meal comes in at a whopping 65 grams with a steak dinner. This is a skewed distribution, and researchers found that it fails to maximize potential muscle growth and function. Now, looking at the second graph, where the protein intake is distributed more evenly, the net muscle protein synthesis, which is at the red line, can be stimulated more. This approach provides sufficient protein throughout the day for the body to build and assist in the retention of muscle mass and strength over time. 30 grams of high-quality protein per meal, breakfast, lunch, and evening, rich in essential amino acids, is key to simulating muscle protein synthesis throughout the day. So the total protein intake is 90 grams in both examples, but spreading protein out over the day more evenly boosts its benefits. Since we can't store excess protein intake for later, a dietitian's big takeaway tip is that we can prevent muscle loss by optimizing protein consumption through the day by including it at breakfast and snacks. Protein is well known for its role in maintaining muscle mass. Muscle growth happens when nutrition supplies amino acids. Exercise, especially resistance training, increases the efficiency of protein use in muscle building and repair. The term sarcopenia may be unfamiliar, but if you're an older adult or caring for an aging person, you've likely seen it. Sarcopenia is a natural progressive loss of skeletal muscle and its function, quality, and strength. Muscle loss may start earlier than you think. Did you know muscle loss can start as early as in our 30s? The good news is that muscle loss may be slowed with sound nutrition, such as consuming enough protein and regular strength building physical activity. Also, spreading out high quality protein foods during the day, not just eating protein foods at dinner, improves protein synthesis and helps build and maintain muscle mass. So while calcium and vitamin D are well recognized for their roles in reducing the risk of osteoporosis, protein also plays a role in bone health. That's not surprising, since 50% of bone volume is protein. Like other body tissues, bone also undergoes ongoing repair that needs protein. It's called bone remodeling. Bone undergoes a continuous process of remodeling where old or damaged bone is broken down and new bone is formed. Proteins are essential for building of new bone tissue during this remodeling process, ensuring bone density and strength. Calcium and protein work together for bone health. Research shows that there are many positive links between higher protein intake and a greater bone mass and fewer fractures if calcium is adequate as well. So we talked about protein and its significant role in bone and muscle health. And now we're ready to take a closer look at amino acids and their vital role. Amino acids are the basic building blocks that make up proteins, crucial for life. Remember when you were a kid playing with building blocks? Amino acids are technically building blocks that build proteins, hormones, and neurotransmitters. You can also think of them as letters in the amino acid alphabet. Amino acids are the letters, and proteins are the words formed by stringing these letters together. Imagine that proteins are formed like words by arranging the letters, the 20 amino acids, in a specific sequence. The English language has 26 letters, and you know the many, many words that are formed using their unique sequencing. Just as you can create an infinite number of words by combining different letters, the combination of amino acids can result in an immense variety of proteins playing a vital role in the body's growth, repair, and maintenance. It's important to note that amino acids and proteins are not interchangeable. If one is missing, certain proteins cannot be built. You may be wondering how the body gets amino acids. You can obtain amino acids through the foods you eat. Through digestion, your body breaks down protein to amino acids. The body then combines the amino acids in various ways to build new proteins and carry out bodily functions. To function properly, your body needs 20 different amino acids. However, only 9 amino acids are classified as essential amino acids because our bodies cannot make them. That is why they must come from the foods we eat. Branched chain amino acids, BCAA, as noted in the image, play an important role in the building and repairing of muscles. They get their name from their chemical structure, which also affects the way the body uses them. They comprise 3 of the 9 essential amino acids that are considered essential because, again, the body cannot make them. They must come from food. The 3 BCAAs are leucine, valine, and isoleucine. 3 branched-chained amino acids make up a large chunk of the body's total amino acid pool. Together, they represent about 35 to 40% of all essential amino acids found in your body, and about 14 to 18% of those found in your muscles. The other 11 non-essential amino acids shown at the bottom of the person eating the food can be produced naturally by your body, and you don't have to get them from the food you eat. As a refresher, on the right diagram, we show 20 kinds of amino acids that are used by the body to build a great variety of unique proteins. So these are the 9 essential amino acids that our body cannot make, and they must come from the foods we eat. Amino acids are unique because their chemical pattern is different. The basic formula of an amino acid is a nitrogen and 2 hydrogen molecules. You can see it as NH2 in the slide and on the diagrams. However, in an amino acid, strands on the side chain consist of different molecules, making each different and not interchangeable. For example, we talked about the essential amino acid leucine, which is powerful for building muscle. Considering protein's importance to health, it's good to know more about some related health issues. Amino acid deficiency, especially lack of essential amino acids, can result in a variety of health issues, including dry skin, hair loss, and brittle nails. Decreased immunity and wound healing is also associated with amino acid or protein deficiency. Muscle loss and bone density loss can also happen. Some people may also experience digestive problems, fertility issues, lower mental alertness, slowed growth in children, and many other health issues with protein and amino acid deficiency. Each of the essential amino acids plays a different role in the body, and the symptoms of deficiency vary accordingly. To prevent deficiency, it's important to get enough essential amino acids from the foods we eat in sufficient amounts, the right balance, and at the time when the body needs them. So have you wondered what foods might be rich in these 9 essential amino acids that the body needs to get from food? There is a wide range of foods rich in 9 essential amino acids, and here's a list of a few of them: meat, fish, shellfish, poultry, chicken and turkey, dairy, cottage cheese, and especially Greek yogurt are high in protein, eggs, soybean, and the foods made from soybean, such as tofu, tempeh, edamame. Quinoa is a whole grain high in the 9 essential amino acids, and hemp and chia seeds contain them as well. You can also combine protein foods to get all the essential amino acids. For example, pairing beans or legumes with grains like rice provides all the essential amino acids. Rice is lacking in the essential amino acid lysine, but has methionine. In contrast, beans are high in lysine, but lack methionine. Combine them together, pairing beans and rice will allow you to get each of lysine and methionine, as well as the remaining 7 amino acids to count as a complete protein, providing all essential 9 amino acids. In the next section, we will compare animal and plant-based proteins and unravel their unique qualities as a nutrient powerhouse. Statistics Canada shared this infographic about the percentage of Canadians who eat these sources of protein on any given day. Dairy products were consumed by over 90% of Canadians. Meat and eggs were eaten by more than half the people surveyed. Poultry by just over 40%, and fish by about 17%. Plant-based proteins from nuts and seed were consumed at about 34%, and legumes by only about 14% of Canadians every day. In another recently published study that looked at the contribution of protein to the total protein intake, researchers found that 64% of total protein intake was derived from animal source foods, shown on the top line, and about 30% from plant-based foods, with the remaining 6% from miscellaneous foods and beverages. So knowing where Canadians get their proteins, let's take a look at some examples of different types of protein sources. Protein content varies widely in foods, and it's helpful to provide information about nutrient-rich protein sources Canadians should be incorporating in their daily eating pattern. We can also consider animal-based protein and plant-based protein and see how they're different. The chart on the left shows common animal-based protein sources and the amount of protein per serving. Animal proteins tend to be more abundant in protein, making it easier to get all the amino acids your body needs. Consider chicken, beef, and salmon are over 20 grams of protein in a 3-ounce serving. Cottage cheese contributes 14 grams per half a cup of serving, and 3/4 cup of Greek yogurt has about 17 grams of protein. A cup of milk has 8 grams of protein, and 1 egg has 6 grams. On the right, you see the plant-based sources of protein. You may notice that they don't contain as much protein per serving as animal products. However, when you eat a variety of plant-based proteins, it helps give you all the protein you need. In addition to the amount of protein in food that we just looked at as grams of protein per serving, the quality of protein based on essential amino acids is also an important factor to consider. A quick refresher from earlier: for good health, we must get 9 amino acids called essential amino acids from the food we eat. When a food contains all 9 of these essential amino acids, it's called a complete protein and is also referred to as a high quality protein. All animal proteins are complete, high quality proteins, including meat, poultry, fish, eggs, and dairy. There are also a few plant-based sources of high-quality complete protein, including soybean and soy products like tempeh and tofu. Quinoa, chia, and hemp seeds are also complete proteins. Most plant-based protein foods are incomplete proteins, which means they lack 1 or more of the 9 essential amino acids. Since plant foods contain different types and amounts of amino acids, getting all the essential amino acids on an exclusively plant-based diet requires some effort. So if you're a vegetarian or vegan, or if you limit the amount of animal products you consume, you can combine 2 or more incomplete plant-based proteins to meet your body's needs. Combination examples could include nuts or seeds with whole grains, like a peanut butter on a whole wheat toast, whole grains with beans, beans and rice, hummus and pita bread, beans with nuts or seeds, a salad with chickpeas and sunflower seeds. It is okay if you don't have a complete protein with every single meal. Dietitians recommend aiming for a variety of protein foods in your whole day's eating pattern. To help show the importance of essential amino acids, which cannot be made from the food, we sometimes share an analogy of a wooden barrel that is used for filling water. Imagine that each board of the barrel represents a type of essential amino acid. A food with an ideal balance of amino acids, such as a complete protein, provides a barrel with an even board, neatly forming a line at the same height. The water is well contained in the barrel. This would be an example on the right. In case of an incomplete protein that lacks essential amino acids, a board is missing, and there's a different height level in the barrel. If any one of the boards is shorter than the others, you can only fill the barrel as high as the lowest board, and the water runs out of the barrel. Even if only one essential amino acid is absent, the remaining amino acids cannot be used effectively, and the water still runs out of the barrel. So what would happen if an amino acid is insufficient and is added to the eating pattern? It can be found that the board gets filled and the barrel can be used more effectively. So you can see that on the left, the fluid pours out, and on the right, when an amino acid, for example, lysine, is added, the barrel gets higher. So this barrel theory demonstrates that the nutritional value of a protein depends on the amount and balance, the type of essential amino acids. There is a great deal of discussion about plant and animal protein intake and their impact on health. Let's summarize the key points. Different protein sources have varying amino acid profiles. All animal foods, but few plant foods, have the 9 essential amino acids and are complete proteins. If you cut out meat, but eat a variety of foods, there are only a few things you need to pay special attention to, and these include eating a variety of foods to get the protein you need. Even if you're not a vegetarian, try having a meal centered on plant sources of protein at least once a week. There are health benefits that may be related to a diet of more vegetables, fruit, and whole grains. Also, remember that foods are more than protein, and animal-based proteins may provide additional nutrients like B12, iron, and omega-3 fatty acids. If you restrict food like meat, fish, eggs, and dairy, be mindful of getting enough vitamin B12, iron, calcium, vitamin D, and essential omega-3 fats in your eating pattern. For bone health, enjoy a variety of protein foods to help meet your nutrient needs. The National Osteoporosis Foundation commissioned research and a systematic review to further understand the relationship between the dietary protein intake to markers of bone health by assessing if significant differences in plant versus animal protein exist. The state-of-the-art science does not support that consumption of soy protein is more advantageous on bone health outcomes when compared to animal proteins or vice versa. Researchers found that no adverse effects of either soy or animal proteins on bone health. More research is needed to expand upon these findings. The bottom line is this: both plant and animal proteins support bone health. Eat a variety of proteins throughout the day to help give you all the essential amino acids you need. In our final section, we'll apply the science of protein we discussed and give you real-life advice you can use, such as meal planning, food choices, and addressing your specific health goals. Canada's Food Guide is an evidence-based model for balanced eating. You can use the plate method whenever you eat. Consider making half your plate vegetables and fruit, a quarter protein foods, and a quarter whole grains. When you're planning recipes, boost the veggies to make it half your recipe and be sure to include protein sources. It's also important to nurture your relationship with food and be mindful of your eating habits, enjoying what you cook, and eating meals with others. Remember to use food labels to assess the nutritional quality of your choices and to limit highly processed foods. Be aware of food marketing as it can influence your food choices. Check food facts with credible sources such as Health Canada, Osteoporosis Canada, and registered dietitians. In addition to the plate method, you can also use a hand method to create a balanced meal. For example, for fruit and veg, use 2 cup handfuls, all your hands together, to guide the serving size. The more, the better. For protein, use the palm of your hand and the thickness of your little finger to guide the serving size for meat, fish, poultry, or tofu. For grains and starches, use your clenched fist as a guide for a portion. You can use the tip of your thumb to guide the serving of added fat. This hand method for a balanced meal is often used in diabetes education for nutrition as well. So you recall from our discussion today that it's important to get enough essential amino acids from the food you eat in sufficient amounts, in the right balance, and the right time when your body needs them. This is a sample meal plan that shows balanced eating to meet your body's needs. So we start with a morning meal, breakfast, which is Greek yogurt, whole grain cereal, and berries on the far left. For lunch, there's stir fry, veggies, turkey or chicken or tofu as the protein, and whole grain noodles or brown rice. And the beverage is water. For a snack, there's a combination of vegetable and hummus. Dinner is beans chili with cheese and whole grain bread and a glass of milk. Dessert, apple berry crisp. You can get balanced recipes on Health Canada's website under Food Guide and on Osteoporosis Canada's website under Cook with OC to help you get the optimal nutrients you need for bone health. You heard it's important to include protein at every meal, and based on the research on protein intakes, we know there's an opportunity to boost protein at breakfast. So here are some ideas to help you reach 20 to 30 grams of protein at breakfast. Which one might you choose? Greek yogurt, parfait, berries and nuts. An omelet of 2 eggs with veggies and milk. Grilled cheese sandwich and tomatoes. Leftover stir fry, there's protein, veg, and rice. Rice and beans with a glass of fortified soy beverages. So again, remember the dietitian's tip, aim for a minimum of 20 grams of protein at breakfast for optimal health. As we come to the end of our discussion, I'd like to share with you some key takeaways as the dietitian's top tips on protein intake. Number 1, eat protein at every meal, including breakfast. Number 2, aim for 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal, every meal, throughout the day. Number 3, enjoy a wide variety of protein foods. Choose plant-based protein foods more often. Meat and poultry choices should be lean, and choose fish and seafood higher in omega-3 fats. I hope you discovered a few sparks about proteins to support your bone health. Are you ready to take action to build a nutritious eating plan? Choose 1 or 2 small steps to help you get started. So thank you for joining me today on the journey about the importance of protein. We defined protein and explored its significance for bone and muscle health. We compared animal and plant proteins and discussed the vital role of amino acids. Lastly, we looked at how to integrate protein into a balanced eating pattern. I hope you enjoyed our time together, and I'm happy to take some questions.
Thanks, Lucia. That was terrific. So much information to think about. We've got lots of great questions coming in. So let's turn to the question and answer period now, and we will try to get to as many of the questions as we can. So let's kick it off with this question. Is protein powder a good source of protein? Is it the same as consuming animal and plant protein? And why would someone use a protein supplement?
That's a great question. And protein powder is very popular. And certainly if you're looking at the shelf, it can be quite confusing. So to answer your question, as long as you're getting enough calories and eating a variety of protein containing foods throughout the day, healthy adults don't usually need extra protein powder. There are some groups that have different protein needs and may benefit from protein boosting. For example, pregnant or breastfeeding women, older adults, and people with certain health conditions. So if you're finding it hard to get enough protein from food, protein powder may be quite helpful. So a little bit about protein powders. They're often dairy-based, for example, whey or casein, or plant, such as soy or pea protein. In general, I recommend choosing simpler protein powder with no extras such as sweeteners, vitamins, or herbal products. So protein can be a great source of additional protein because it often provides 10 to 30 grams of protein per serving. So the scoop size may vary between products, and it's important to check the nutritional facts on the label to find out how much protein the product contains. So protein powder can be used to boost protein in a variety of different recipes too. You can try adding it to smoothies, soups, oatmeal, pancake, baked goods, energy bites, and much more. So bottom line, protein supplements can serve as a way to provide extra protein to those who need it. But remember that eating foods are much more than protein. We get energy, calcium, vitamin D, fat, fiber, and so much more. So bottom line, eat a variety of protein foods to help meet your nutrient needs.
That's great, Lucia. Thank you. Lots of new questions. Let's try this one. Is it possible to get enough complete protein and calcium with a vegan diet?
You have so many plant-based options to get enough protein on a vegan or vegetarian eating pattern. However, there are a few things you need to pay special attention to. It's important to eat a variety of foods to get the protein you need. If you're looking for vegan sources of complete protein, try soy foods, tempeh, tofu, whole grain quinoa, hemp or chia seeds. Other good sources of protein are cooked beans, peas, lentils, especially when they're paired with grains such as rice, to provide all the essential amino acids that you need. Other nutrients that are important to keep an eye on for vegan eating patterns are vitamin B12, calcium, vitamin D, iron, and essential omega-3 fats. So on calcium, foods that have calcium include certain legumes such as leafy green vegetables, nuts, seeds, and tofu. Calcium fortified milks are also a good choice. You can try calcium assessment tool on Osteoporosis Canada's website to see if you're getting enough or if your eating pattern meets the daily recommendations.
Okay, that was great. Thank you. Let's try this question. For those who are elderly and need to boost calories and protein intake daily, are there foods with high amounts of protein in smaller portions without having to consume a food supplement?
That's a great question, and it resonates with me because it's a food first approach. So foods with the highest amounts of protein per serving are meat, poultry, fish, shellfish with over 20 grams of protein per serving. Greek yogurt and tofu provide about 17 grams of protein in a 3/4 cup serving. So you can also get protein from eggs, beans, nuts, and seeds. So remember to spread out your protein intake throughout the day to get the best benefit.
Okay. Another protein question. I'm hearing that too much protein is harmful. What amount should we be consuming?
Yeah, in recent years, high protein diets have become quite popular. For example, the Zone, Atkins, and Paleo diets. However, like with most things in life, there can be too much of a good thing. And if you eat too much protein, other nutrients may be out of balance. So remember that your body can't store protein. So once the amino acid needs of your body are met, any extra is used for energy or stored as fat. Excess calories can come from any source, protein, fat, or carbohydrate, and will be stored as fat in the body. So the weight-based recommendations for protein, the RDA we talked about earlier, is 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. So for a 140-pound person, that's 51 grams per day. And an easy way to know what amount you should be consuming is to make protein a quarter of your plate, the plate method. You may also recall that we discussed pacing the protein throughout the day in 3 meals. So evenly, let's say 25 to 30 grams of protein at each meal. I think the biggest learning is that you may want to pay attention to the type of protein you eat and the amount. So increasing the nutrient-dense protein sources such as salmon, Greek yogurt, beans, and being mindful of moderating consumption of high saturated fats will get you the protein that you should be getting.
Okay. We are getting a lot of vegetarian questions.
Yes.
So I'm going to do sort of an umbrella question for you. What are some examples of good proteins for those following a vegetarian diet and don't consume milk products?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm just looking at a resource on vegan sources of complete protein. So tempeh soybean, 23 grams and 3/4 cups. That's an excellent source of protein. Any tofu product, edamame, hemp seeds. Now, pulses, lentils, black beans, chickpeas all have high protein content. They may not be complete proteins, but then blending it or complementing it with grain foods will give you a complete protein. So the highest quality proteins are these complete proteins that we talked about in our presentation.
Okay. We'll have 2 more questions. So this question, I'm looking for examples of some breakfast protein options, and particularly non-meat options as well. So can you comment?
Yes. So again, combining foods that give the most quality protein and in higher amounts. And, you know, soy is excellent. Any forms of it, of vegan, seeds, hemp seeds and chia seeds, we talked about sprinkling that on what you're eating. So looking at half your plate vegetables, adding these protein foods that are complete proteins, or nuts and seeds, blending them for breakfast, and making sure that you look for different combinations of protein foods to meet your needs. And check recipes on, from dietitians or on Health Canada's website, and see what sparks your interest. So have fun looking for options and protein boosters on recipe websites.
Great. So this will be our last question. It's an interesting question, and I'm not sure what the answer is, but just putting it out there for thought. I'm looking for suggestions regarding the enjoying meals with others. As someone who lives alone with some health issues, regularly eating with others is quite challenging. Any ideas?
Wow, that's a great question, and it really speaks to the special relationship we have with food and that belonging and sharing. So for single people, there are some suggestions, and everybody's situation is different. So I think having community meals, like maybe there's a neighbor or a friend who you could share a meal with periodically, or if you are able to go out for dinner, enjoying that social and experimenting with new foods, meeting someone when you go out. but certainly trying to find opportunities to eat together. And something that I have done is I've shared food with a family member who lives alone, and then we ate the food at the same time and talked on the phone, and had a really good experience about talking about taste, what it looked like, what they liked or could be improved about it. So very important recommendation from Health Canada on the food guide is to enjoy meals with others, and I hope some of these ideas will help you achieve that.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer, Lucia. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So that concludes our question and answer period. At this time, I want to say thank you again to Lucia for such an informative presentation, and to our partners, Danone Canada and Oikos Greek Yogurt. I wanted to point out that we do have upcoming webinars. Tomorrow we have another webinar highlighting our new 2023 clinical practice guideline. For more information, please visit our website at osteoporosis.ca. Our website includes many, many tools. I know some of you are asking about nutrition apps. We have a calcium calculator on our website. We have podcasts, we have quizzes, and we have a repository of past webinars, many nutrition related. So in conclusion, again, thanks to Lucia for a wonderful, wonderful presentation. And thanks to all of you for joining us today, and wishing you a great day, and hope you'll drop in again soon. Thank you.